I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, announcements. Okay, town council meetings. These are all regular meetings. Thursday, September 28th at 7 p.m. here in the Matthew Thornton Room. Thursday, October 12th, again here in the Matthew Thornton Room at 7 p.m. And the last is October 26th here in the Matthew Thornton Room again at 7 p.m. For October. Not the, yeah, hopefully that's not predictive. Anyway. Announcements, Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Parks and Recreation Department invites you to join them at Abbey Griffin Park on Saturday, September 30th, for their final free outdoor movie in the park season. The movie Trolls will be shown and it will begin at 6:45 p.m. A special thank you goes out to the Lions Club for sponsoring this movie. Also, the Parks and Rec Department has just 7 tickets remaining for their bus trip to see the Boston Red Sox take on the Houston Astros on Sunday, October 1st. This could be a preview of the first round of the playoffs. Trip includes transportation from Wasserman Park and a ticket to the game in the bleachers, section 43. Cost of the trip is $75. If you're interested, please contact Parks and Rec at 603-882-1046. Due to the Department of Motor Vehicles software upgrade, the town clerk's office will be unavailable to process registrations and related transactions from Friday, October 6th through Tuesday, October 10th, and will be resuming transactions on Wednesday, October 11th. That is if you're registering your car, your boat, your motorcycle, your camper. We will not be able to process those transactions. We will be open for business for dog licenses, collecting of taxes, and other going for birth certificates, marriage licenses. You can come into the town clerk to get those. But you will not be able to register your car from October 10th, Tuesday, October 10th, through the Friday, October 6th, and resuming on Wednesday, October 11th.
And that is on the website, too?
That is on our website, too.
Okay, I was going to wait to do this announcement, but I'll do it now. That has to do with the PFOA meetings. Clark Freese, the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Assistant Commissioner, will be holding office hours here in the Merrimack Memorial Room, which is a room in the other building. It's right outside the old, yeah, most people would not know that. It's right beside the town clerk. Anyway, the following days and times: Friday, September 15th from 3 to 5 p.m., Monday, September 18th from 3 to 5 p.m., Tuesday, September 26th, 3 to 5 p.m., and also Wednesday, October 4th from 9 to 11:30 a.m. There's also going to be a public informational meeting from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services held on October 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the Mastrocola Upper Elementary School All-Purpose Room right here on Babusick Lake Road. As far as we know, and I've been able to verify some of it, DES is inviting MVD and St. Cobain to the meeting. Doesn't ensure that they'll be there, but they're being invited. And I do believe the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services is also going to be in attendance. Try to get that re-verified today, and they didn't get a call back, but I believe I heard that. And we have to talk here, and maybe we can do that when we talk about the letter, about inviting the Merrimack delegation to attend as well. Because that would be our move.
We should.
Okay. Again, not to be part of the panel, but to invite them, and if for the audience, if they want to say something, they'll certainly have the opportunity. But important to listen. Pete, did you want to say something?
I'll wait till we get into
the PFOA.
I covered it anyways about inviting our other partners or
right.
stakeholders in this, if you want to call that.
Right. You have to.
Inviting our other partners. I think you mentioned all that.
Right. So, and I think that is all of them, so, right? Okay. So why don't we move on to the PFOA update? I do have the letters that we had discussed from the last meeting is under old business number 2, so we're not going to be dealing with that right now. Again, I just wanted to make sure it's public. We do have it on our website. We do want to make sure that it's known here. We'll repeat it again during the next town council meeting. Social media has it. So if anyone has any other ideas we could advertise, just let us know. Anybody else want to talk about PFOA at all aside from the bill?
I just amplify the meeting on October 10th, that it's really critical that Health and Human Services be at that meeting, because I'm hopeful that we will have the results of the community blood serum assessment.
Right.
That's been ongoing for well over a year, and I think there's a lot of people that I think a lot of people in the community, but mainly the Merrimack Village District water users, I think, are particularly keen to learn the results of that. So I'm hoping that the results will be released like they said it would be in September, and that they would use that community forum as an opportunity to amplify the findings and be able to answer any questions that people may have as a result of the data that's presented in that assessment.
Right. Okay, nothing else? Okay, let's move on. Highway garage project update. Finley, do you have anything?
I do. I'm Jackie for the day.
You're Jackie. Oh, thank you. Wait a minute. Let me just make
There you
that.
go.
Thank you for inviting me. Reminding me. Jackie Flood and Eileen, isn't that funny? Cavanaugh. This is early in the meeting. I'm having trouble already. Are both excused from the meeting tonight. So go ahead, Finley.
Thank you. I'm glad
Thank
I
you for
reminded you.
reminding me.
That was my plan. So,
Yeah, right.
The committee actually met this morning, and the development of the building and site plans is continuing on at a good pace, making great progress. We've gotten a lot of good ideas and information from the consultants. Last week, the committee visited 2 sites that Turnstone has ongoing right now, and that was Contemporary Chrysler. It was Chrysler, right? Pardon me? Jeep and, okay, up right off Route 13 there, and that was a gorgeous building, I have to say. But and then the committee without me, because I had locked my keys in the van for the second time in less than a week. I couldn't head up because I had a job I had to do in Concord. I was going to leave from Ware. They went up to the Ware Highway Garage and checked that out, and it was predominantly to get an idea of what we were talking about, see what we were talking about, to see what it might look like, because the committee's been really focused on steering it to fit into the neighborhood, more, to look more like it's part of the neighborhood as a part of an industrial complex. So today we actually went over those ideas, and we've now pretty much brought it to a conclusion of what we'll be doing for the type of construction and styling, what we're expecting to see and all. So
Pete has a question before you.
okay, let me just, I will, yeah, I just want to say that the committee, we meet now with our consultants bi-weekly, and we're expecting to complete the design of the facility by fall, bid it during the winter, and then early next year start construction. So, sorry about that.
Finley, I'm glad to hear that there's taking consideration about, obviously, the structure fitting into the neighborhood. A couple of folks who live right across from the garage were concerned about that, because they feel it affects their values, and they're not sure what's going to go in. I directed them to reach out to the committee to talk about that and express their concerns, but there is a few of the neighbors there that are concerned. So.
I haven't spoken to anybody since the project since the meetings began, but I know personally one family across the street, and if they happen to be listening, I can absolutely guarantee you that that's the focus. You don't have to worry about it, and so it will happen. We're talking about the front part of the structure is going to be clapboard sided. We're talking about what type of clapboard it will be. Today, Bill Hickey, our design guy, they had shown like storefront windows, I guess. I don't know what you would call them, but he wants to put double hung, so it will. It's going to be big, but it's going to look much better.
To back Finley up here is that the committee is definitely, we've taken 3 meetings now to point out that this needs to fit into the neighborhood, and it needs a residential feel to it. It cannot be an industrial-looking building, and so much so we're looking at options for the old building. So that will also look to fit into the neighborhood. So, but yeah, like Finley has said, that the consultants have taken that to heart and actually are coming back with designs to make it look more home-friendly and residential-friendly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to remember that we chose that design exactly for that reason.
Mhm.
Because we had 3 choices? And
Right.
the choice we made was based upon wanting to do that, so.
Yeah.
I think that our intention hopefully is clear from that, but we need to revisit that with them, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Right now, my big focus is the type of siding we use. And I sensed a little pushback from Turnstone at our previous meeting a couple weeks ago, because I'm really into the cement board, clapboard, the cement board siding, whatever, hardy board, I think they call it. Yeah, and it is awesome, and it's great looking stuff, and it looks good forever, and but she was, she didn't say anything, it was the look, and I can read those looks really well now, but anyhow, it's, the neighborhood, they should definitely be involved, but that is constantly on the front of our minds, so, thanks.
Thank you, Finley. Any other questions for Finley?
Has the committee considered maybe doing some type of a neighborhood forum?
No, we haven't talked about that.
Well, we're waiting until we get further along with maybe some conceptual designs. Right now, we're talking about a lot of it, and the architect and the
Yeah.
engineers are going back and looking at what we're saying, and they're seeing how it's gonna fit. Probably in the next month or so, we'll have a good idea of cost, to see if what we wanna do is cost-effective to do. And if we can do that, then we'll get some conceptual, so we at least have what they will look like in paper. But we haven't.
can see it, yeah.
We can see it, but we can bring that up at the next meeting about.
Yeah, because it is a good idea.
A forum,
Just,
especially in that area with,
Yep.
because we actually built, today we were sitting there and I was looking out the window and I was pointing at the houses that are gonna be affected more so now because of where we're moving it to. So we are aware of the surroundings, so.
yeah. And there's gonna, well, I'm not positive, I'm suspecting that there's gonna be berming in front of the old garage, with plantings, shrubs, bushes, trees, whatever, to kind of block that up a little bit more. But the building itself will look, obviously, well, it can't look any worse. It will look much, much better.
Yeah,
It's gonna
true.
be made to be as pleasing.
It'll be an improvement over what it
Yeah.
is, for sure. Okay. Comments from the press or public? There are no recognition, resignations, or retirements. No appointments, no public hearing. Any legislative update? I don't see any reps here. Town managers report. Paul?
Since I did such a good job explaining it before, I'll explain it again. Once again, the Department of Motor Vehicles having a software upgrade. It affects our town clerk tax collector's office. The town clerk tax collector will be unable to process registrations and related transactions from Friday, October 6th through Tuesday, October 10th, and will be resuming on Wednesday, October 11th at regular business, hopefully. So once again, the town clerk tax collectors, and it is on our website, it's actually at the top of our website, and we'll be getting more and more information out, and we'll try to get out the social media through Facebook and through Nixle and those things as the time approaches, gets near.
Thank you. Okay, no consent agenda. Okay, old business, DW Drive and DW Highway culvert replacement, submitted by Public Works Deputy Director Town Engineer Don Tumala. Right? Did I say that right? Tumala? Oh, darn. I said Tumala. I get it and then I lose it and then I get it. The town council to be presented with the details of the DW Drive and DW Highway culvert replacement project. And it's already begun. Everybody in town knows the little signs. So we were all ears.
There we go. So I was asked at the last meeting to come in with a timeline and to show you some traffic patterns that would happen. So I did prepare, oops, it's not showing up on the screen. Okay.
I'm just going to move my,
Or not.
It's the same thing we have, right?
It's the same one that you have in your packets, yes. And I'm not going to go through this line by line. And it could change, not necessarily in the same order as I have it there, but our goal is to keep DW Highway open as long as possible and to keep the traffic flowing in its normal pattern. And that's our goal.
I don't know if you can pull the mic a little closer. I'm having a little hard time hearing you.
Okay. How's that? Better? Worse?
There you
Here
go.
we go. So what I did was I've created an existing conditions plan. This is the DW Highway. This is DW Drive. And we have Island Drive and Pond View up here. So currently, the traffic northbound can get off on DW Drive and can go down. This is a one-way section down past Mr. Murray's house. And they can turn onto Island Drive or go up and continue to Pond View or back up to the DW Drive. The southbound lane of DW Highway, so these are the two lanes that there are, and there are adequate shoulders on the sides. This is King Cone right here. So this is the way the traffic currently is going, and this section of DW Drive is two-way, as is this intersection here where it comes back out and meets DW Highway. So this is a positive for this project, because if you remember on Amherst Road, we didn't have any way around. So our first phase, in fact, what has happened is they moved their equipment in last week, and in moving their equipment in, there is no place to put it. So what we ended up doing was closing this section of DW Drive, right from the DW Highway, right down to Island Drive. And they now have their trailers in there and some pipe and whatnot in that area. And we've got barricades up through there. We're going to keep the traffic as much as possible, and it probably will be the last week of September, first week of October, before we do anything with the traffic that's on DW Drive, or DW Highway. And what we will do is we're proposing to move the lanes over as far to the west as possible and have the traffic two-way, continuing two-way, and then putting some barriers up along the section and hopefully being able to replace about half of the existing culvert, because we're going to start the culvert on the outlet side, which is where we normally would start doing the culvert and working to the inlet side. If we can get the halfway, then that would be a good thing. The next alternative, which I have alternative A for the next phase of it, which would be when we have to do the inlet side of it. This alternative shows putting both lanes of traffic down on DW Drive, which would mean widening DW Drive from Island Road up to the main intersection. We have been doing exploratory work out there to find all of the buried lines, the sewer, the gas, the water, Fairpoint, you name it, it's out there. So I think we've almost eliminated this one, but I can't say for sure. I mean, it's going to be dictated as the project moves along. So we have alternative B, and what will happen is the northbound traffic will be directed down DW Drive and be able to continue and come back up onto DW Highway. The southbound, if we cannot do half of this culvert at a time, what will happen is the southbound will stay in that southbound lane for a little while we finish that connection in the middle of the road. After we have finished that connection, or if we can finish it in one phase, We will then be putting the southbound traffic where the northbound traffic is and their shoulder, and continuing that. So we're not interrupting, stopping one-way traffic all the time. We will periodically have to do one-way alternating traffic, but it would be for short periods of time. And we will block this section off, and he will continue and put the rest of this culvert in. And there could be another iteration from there, but I think this is probably what's going to end up happening.
That alternate B, yeah.
That's alternate B, yes. And they did begin construction. The pipes, the 84-inch pipes showed up today, and they came from Alabama, so they had a long travel. These are steel reinforced plastic pipes, and these were recommended by our consultant engineering company. And this is where, like I told you, the trailer was on the side of the road, and here are the pipes for this section. What we found was that there is a pipe coming from Shaw's and coming down to this culvert that we're now replacing. The head wall of that had fallen into the brook. There was a catch basin in here, and it was not in real good condition. So what we're doing is we put a brand new catch basin in, which is right here, and we're starting on the pipe to come back down to the brook. So we were replacing that also as part of this project. And what we had found was that the first link of this existing pipe, when the head wall fell off, had broken that first section off. And I think that's one of the driving causes, was there was water leaking out and around and coming down through. And King Cone, I should say, King Cone is still open, and they would love to have more people visiting. They're open until the 24th, and we're trying to not impact their business or the neighbors. Both them and Mr. Murray are taking the brunt of this, and we're doing our best to keep them happy. But they will be open until September 24th, so they're.
So this is the inlet side you're working on?
This is the pipe that comes from the Shaws, and it comes down across King Cone, across the condos, down across King Cone, and to the brook. So this is just north of the existing culvert.
But it's on the west side.
It's on the west side. We knew it was there. We have a 20-foot drainage easement that goes along with this.
Okay.
And the catch basin that was there, it was an old drop inlet that was there, and it needed to have some work done to it. And it could have been just from the head wall that
Yes, we had those major floods.
we did, and that might have been the start of it.
That was probably the start, because that whole thing was just flooded right over.
Right, but we need to fix this first to have this corrected before we can get to the main one. He's going to be doing some more prep work throughout for the next week or so after he finishes this. Next week he'll be doing some more prep work and getting ready. The head wall for the major culvert is coming in next Tuesday, so he can't begin until then anyway for the outlet, but he's got some other work, some bypass work that we need to do for the sewer and waters and whatnot.
So barring any catastrophes or surprises, which there will be,
There always are.
always are, but hopefully they're minor, generalized timeline in terms of completion?
We have the state permit until the 1st of November, or November 6th, I think I put down.
So well before winter.
Yes, yes. He felt that it's going to probably take about
Snow
I just
8.
cursed us, we'll get snow November 1st.
He figured
Or
about
October,
8 weeks.
like the other day.
He figured a total of about 8 weeks.
Okay.
So,
Any questions, guys?
Did,
Go ahead, Finley, and then Tom.
Thanks, Don. I was just curious, what do they anticipate the longevity of that new pipe?
they tell me 100 years.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about it.
No.
you and I are gone.
We won't be here to replace it, I'll put it that way.
Be 160 by that point. Thank you.
Tom, did you have a?
Don, I thought I saw somewhere that you were rerouting the water or doing something with the water that's flowing through there while you're working on it.
Yes, there
But
will be.
I didn't understand that because it sounded like you were going to run pipes across the DW highway, which.
We
you
will
don't.
be. They will be buried, so that's going to be part of the prep work for next week. We have to be able to stop the water. We can't allow the water to flow through the culvert while he's working on it. Otherwise, we would have a huge mess on the other end. So what they do is they do a bypass pump. And he will dig a trench across DW Highway and then down across DW Drive and be able to bury the pipe so that the cars aren't running over it. So that's when the traffic next week will probably be an alternating traffic. We'll see how that plays out. And,
Okay.
possibly we could put the northbound, well, we can't put the northbound because we've blocked that off,
Yeah.
DW Drive, because he needed a place to put his equipment.
Right.
You're not going to put it in the middle of the street, so.
But so you're just talking a shallow trench, like a foot or
Yes.
something, that you're going to drop the pipe in and pump
Right,
through it?
and it will be right just off the side of where the new culvert will be, so that it's not in his way either.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank God we have DW Drive.
Yes, for this,
Can you imagine?
Oh, I can't imagine. The whole town would be in a panic, and I'd be with him.
Me too.
Yes, Finley?
Quick question. Don, are they construction hours? Are they going to be avoiding the rush hour? Or are we going to, on each end of the day, is it going to be a shortened day, or are they going to be going from 7 until 5 or whatever?
well, since we're hopefully not impacting the traffic, they will probably be going as much daylight as they can get now, because the daylight's getting shorter every day. And-
Sure, yeah.
Right. Right, daylight's getting shorter.
I think it just by its nature, two problems. One, the narrower road, because even widening, it's still going to be a narrower travel situation. That will slow it down, and then, of course, having to see what's going on top of that. So that's all. So you're right, there's really no need to close it down. It's going to be slow regardless. But
Right, and we will be posted for 25 miles an hour through there.
yeah.
And I have the signage plans all worked out. I didn't provide those for you. I figured you didn't need the nitty-gritty details of how many feet the signs have to be placed down and how long but those plans are all worked out.
Dan, you had a question?
Was nighttime hours considered?
No. They don't have the equipment to be able to do, they don't have the lights and whatnot to do that.
Bet we could get them.
I mean,
Probably could.
But Massachusetts is paving, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's just,
But you have a lot
lights
of-
bright as the sun, it's,
You have a lot of residential area in there, too,
Mhm.
condos.
True.
True.
Yeah.
True. 8 weeks sounds lousy, that's all, just thought.
Well, And we're going to try, like I said, we'll try to keep the DW highway open as long as possible, so we're trying to keep that down to about a month,
Mhm.
Okay.
Because like this part right now doesn't seem to be affecting. I mean, it's a little slowed down, but not much, but,
And he has officers out there so that,
right,
like today, they were helping people in King Cone getting in and out, and,
right.
getting across the road and whatnot.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Don, for the
Thank
update. Appreciate it. And I'm sure if there's anything that erupts, please make sure we keep it,
I will.
up
Thank
on
you.
it. Okay. Letter review for New Hampshire DES Commissioner and Merrimack Delegation. As we remember, last meeting, we decided we were going to write a letter. I want to thank Paul McCauley and Peter Albert and I sort of worked on this together, sent it out to the council for review. Tom had a couple of suggestions, Jackie had a couple of suggestions, which have been incorporated into this final draft. And I suppose I should read it for the record, unless someone else wants to. All the volunteers here. Okay, this is to Robert Scott, Commissioner, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. Dear Commissioner Scott, the Merrimack Town Council respectfully requests the New Hampshire DES to recommend that St. Cobain conduct an air quality test of C6 Gen X, parentheses, at their facility located in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Specific site samples can be recommended by New Hampshire DES. While the Council understands that New Hampshire DES does not have any regulatory requirements for this test, we believe the test would be crucial to the citizens of Merrimack to assure them that no additional contaminants of PFOAs are being emitted from the St. Cobain facility. It would be advantageous for St. Cobain to positively respond to this request, since it would demonstrate good faith on their part to the Merrimack community. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please contact Town Manager Eileen Cabinal if further information is needed. Sincerely, Nancy Harrington, Chair of the, on behalf of Merrimack Town Council. So let's, are there any recommendations for changes of that letter? Okay, let's make this a motion.
So move the letter.
Motion
Be sent to
made,
Commissioner Scott at DES.
motion made by Bill Boyd, second by
Second.
Tom Koenig. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Saying none, so it's 6-0-0. Okay, what I'll do is I'll have Becky put this on letterhead tomorrow. I'll come to the town, sign it, we can send it. Okay, the second letter to the Merrimack legislators' representatives. Now, this has to do with warning. They had previously put in a House bill that would have given New Hampshire DES ability to do air emission testing. Because there was an amendment attached to it, that whole thing was voted down. So we are encouraging the legislature to be able to do that again, to be able to get New Hampshire DES that ability. So the town of Merrimack continues to be concerned about the PFOA, it's written out, and PFOS contamination in the environment. The town council has been made aware that the production of C8 has been discontinued. However, it is the council's belief that testing needs to be performed on the replacement C6. The council understands that House Bill 463 is in a committee of conference. We respectfully request that the Merrimack delegation look at establishing new legislation / regulations that would allow the DES the ability to conduct air quality analysis for unregulated emerging contaminants like C6. We strongly encourage the legislators to look at any and all options to allow the DES the ability to test the air emissions of companies. If there is anything we can do to assist with the successful passing of this legislation, please feel free to contact myself or other members of the Town Council. The request is based on the Town Council's attempt to remain vigilant in the safety of our citizens. Please contact Town Manager Eileen Cabinal regarding your opinions of this request for future legislative action. Again, sincerely, Nancy M. Harrington, on behalf of the Merrimack Town Council. Yes. Finley?
I just have three little things.
Yep.
First, I thought I understood what an emerging contaminant was, but I might not. Is an emerging contaminant something that they recognize there are issues with it, potential health issues or other items that might affect the environment, and then it becomes an emerging contaminant? Or is a product that's produced considered to be an emerging contaminant when we don't know if it's contaminating or
Correct.
not?
The latter.
Bill, go ahead.
The latter.
That's, oh, it is. So when a product is produced, 3M comes out with their product, it goes on the market, and it's used at facilities like St. Gobain, that's an emerging contaminant?
Correct.
Okay.
But it's unregulated because they haven't determined it to be adverse at this point
Correct.
yet.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's my understanding too, Bill.
Very good. Then I'm all set with that one then.
Okay.
And then the other one is, now, I'm not a grammar king like Counselor Boyd, but I thought it might be me instead of myself.
Where are we looking at?
To third paragraph, second line.
Please
please-
contact me, or, why don't we do this, contact any member of the town council?
That works.
Is that okay?
I liked it being you, but that's okay. And then the last one is, the request is
At least
based
you're honest. Any member of the town council.
And
Okay,
then the request is based upon the town council's attempt to remain vigilant in the safety or for the safety?
For the safety, I believe is correct, too.
We could just recommend that they all contact Counselor Rothaus.
Especially.
And I don't mind. It's just easier when Nancy handles it, that's all. So that's it.
I
And
concur.
Nancy's got the original, so.
Yeah, and I'll have that changed tomorrow.
Okay.
You've got it? Okay, perfect. Okay, could I have a motion with the changes?
Bill has something.
Oh,
Second paragraph, first
oh,
sentence.
sorry. Go ahead.
Council understands that HB 463 is in a committee or conference. I like conference committee, it just sounds better.
Okay,
It's in a
so
conference committee.
council understands that HB 430 is in conference committee?
Is in a conference committee,
In
period.
a, okay,
Does that mean it's dead
yeah.
to be in a conference committee?
Yeah, I actually looked it up generally, yeah.
Actually,
Because
no-
we kind of imply that in the next sentence, so I'm just,
Right, you're right, but I didn't think a committee conference necessarily meant that.
I didn't
If it
think
goes
so
to
either
the
from
study
the
committee,
description.
interim study, that's death now, that's over. It's,
Apparently it's
No,
there.
no,
It'll mark
finance
time.
is death now. In finance is death now in Concord. When something goes to
My
finance.
understanding is it can stay there unattended for a long time.
right.
Correct.
Normally, a committee of conference is when the Senate and the House can't come to an agreement, but they want to work it together. So I don't know, I've not, okay. Paul, you need your mic on.
Okay, that's fine.
I took this terminology right off the website when I looked up House Bill 463, and that's what it said, Committee
So
of Conference.
present.
Okay,
Fine, that's all.
and that's good with me.
I have no, I have
Yeah.
Okay.
more
Is
semantics.
in a conference, is in conference committee or in a conference committee?
well, Paul was just suggesting that this is actually correct the way
Leave
it's
it,
written.
leave what Paul
Oh,
knows.
I
That's
see.
fine.
Okay, perfect.
House Bill website there.
Yeah, so it stays, okay.
Move approval with the changes.
Motion by Bill Boyd, second by
Second?
Peter Albert. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? None. 600. Okay, Paul, so you'll have Becky put those in letterhead and I'll drop by tomorrow morning.
Yep, we'll make sure they're done bright and early for you.
Thank you. Okay. New business, committee appointments, planning board member position switch. I don't think you need to come up here, but if we have any questions.
But you're here.
But you're here, you might want to. Okay, the submitted by Town Council Chair Nancy Arrington and Vice Chair Finley. Rothaus, Town Council to consider the request to move full-time member Vincent Russo Jr. to an alternate member position, and alternate member Paul F. McLaughlin Jr.'s request to be moved to a full member position on the Merrimack Planning Board as recommended by Planning Board Chair Robert Best. My understanding, and that was documentation we received as well, is that Mr. Russo's work responsibilities really became ominous, and he was not able to make as many meetings, and was willing to go to an alternate position, or expressed interest in doing that, and Mr. McLaughlin was responsive to change. So we have to make an official request so we can do the official paperwork. Is there any questions? Mr. Best is here, so if there's any questions, we can certainly ask him. Does anyone have any?
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Bill Boyd, second by
Second.
Peter Albert. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, 600. And I'm going to be passing over the paperwork so people can sign.
They'll need to be resworn, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll pass those. So just sign the top. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, 2017 Rotary Club of Merrimack Annual Christmas Tree Sale. Submitted by Rotary Club members Bill Wilkes and Peter Flood. So, I can see Mr. Wilkes. The Rotary Club of Merrimack is requesting the use of Watson Park for their annual sale of Christmas trees. So, somebody going to come up? Come on down. Are you here for moral support for him too?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Okay, now I know that you usually do
Good evening,
this.
Madam Chair and members of the council. For the record, Bill Wilkes, 34 Handsome Drive. I'm here on behalf of the Rotary Club. The good news is that the old Shaw's Plaza is getting renovated. And at least for this year, they have put a fence up around the perimeter of the property, which inhibits us from being able to do our annual Christmas tree sale. And we kind of assessed as a group what would be a great location, and we like to be in between Continental Boulevard, or maybe it's not Continental, down by Common, man, what do they call that, Peter? Greeley Street, and right out here, Babuzik Lake.
I'm with you. I can't remember streets either.
But between those bookends, we feel like between those bookends is really important to us, and we thought the Watson Park would be an awesome site for us to do it. We can contain it in the parking lot, so if we have any snow issues, we could take care of that. We sell about 350 trees a year. From a traffic standpoint, our peak demand is usually on a Saturday in the middle of the afternoon, and we might have 5 or 6 cars come into the lot at that time. Within, they cycle in and out, but there would never be probably more than 5 or 6 cars, with the exception of any of the Rotarians that would be working at the sale. So the traffic load would be fairly light, probably less than some of the traffic that goes into Watson Park right now for different things in the summertime and so forth. So at least for this year, we are requesting the ability to use that site. We think it's a great site, and it'd be a nice little event down in that area around Christmas time.
Excellent. Pete?
I personally, where it's the Rotary Club, and they've they've helped this community so often, and they're a charitable organization, and at least in my opinion, I certainly support that in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, Dan and then Tom.
Fully support it. And I'm sure you guys really studied it. I'm just a little skeptical that it's big enough, because it seems like the Shaw Plaza, you guys were really spread out a little bit. It seems like you had a lot of space, but if you think it's a good spot, I would just say that maybe on that Saturday, we just contact the police, and maybe there's a cop handy in case the traffic flow is a little bit troublesome. So there's somebody there that can let some cars go out, just as a backup plan.
Sure. I mean, I don't envision it being a problem, but I wouldn't have any
If we
problem.
let them aware of it, the dates, and then in case, just to let the chief know, and
Yeah.
backup plan, that's all.
Yeah. During the week, we typically sell between, a big night would be 10 trees.
Yeah.
Typically, we sell like 5 or 6 trees, so people literally trickle into the site. It's more to build camaraderie among Rotarians sitting in the trailer.
And remember, we do have electricity down there now, too.
Which is one of the big factors.
You could put a nice Christmas tree inside the gazebo there.
On that note,
We'd be more than happy to do that.
Well,
the
it's
Shaws
calling
had
card
some
for you.
lights already in the parking lot. You may just want to contact Highway and borrow one of the generating lights.
Okay.
And you can-
We thought about the need for some additional lighting.
We've got
But I
a
didn't know
few of
the
them that we've
Highway
used.
had 'em.
The Merrimack Rocks Festival, if you remember
Okay,
those. So
yeah.
the lights are there. You're welcome to them, I would think.
That's great to know. That solves one of our issues.
Tom?
So I appreciate Rotary Club, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm fairly skeptical that the sketch that you've given us really indicates how much space you plan to take. And I'm concerned about space for people that want to be using the park while you're filling it up with trees and trailers and
Peter
stuff
did
like
this.
that.
Peter did this sketch, and it was unaudited.
I'll believe that. I drove by this evening on my way here, and I don't think it's that big.
Before he went to France, I wouldn't propose to put the trees right there. I would propose to put the trees on the edge of the parking lot, so that the parking lot space would be kept clear. And the same with the trailer. We might, there's no curb or anything down there. We might put the trailer off the parking lot right on the edge there, so the whole parking lot would be left open.
Assuming the weather and everything is favorable to help you do that, I would certainly encourage you just keep the parking lot as clear as possible,
Yeah.
just so that if people do want to go down there, and they would only want to if the weather was favorable enough,
Right.
that they could do so, because it would be a shame to have the park completely blocked off, even though we all appreciate the Rotary and the work that you're doing and all that good stuff. So just a cautionary measure there, I guess.
No, I have no problem, you know, like I said, keeping the parking lot clear.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I'll accept a motion. Yes.
I move that we allow Rotary to use this, I don't even know what the times are, but I'm sure it's just a few weeks before, 4 weeks before.
Do we have dates?
Usually, we start December 1st, no matter
December.
what day of the week it is,
Okay.
and we're usually sold out within 2.5 weeks.
The trees are usually delivered on that Friday or Saturday after Thanksgiving, and then the sale starts the 1st or 2nd.
Okay.
24th of November till the 24th of December, probably.
Want to do that? Why don't we make that all encompassing? for
We'll
timeline?
be long gone by the 24th of December, but that would be fine. That'd be great.
Okay.
The trailer and everything, hopefully by then.
So a motion made by
We always
Finley
do.
to give permission within this inclusive dates, second by
Second?
Dan Dwyer. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Yes,
I-
Finley.
Under normal conditions, I might be hesitant to do it, but it is, as Peter said, for the Rotary, what they contribute to the town is unbelievable. And most specifically, the 4th of July stuff. It's just, without them, it would be a nightmare. Tom Mahon would let you know that. But so I, because of my appreciation for that, I'm definitely on board with this, and just wanted to put that out for the record, I guess.
I agree. Ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 600. Yes.
Bill, is Old Shaw's going to let you put up a sign telling them that you have moved?
That hasn't been cleared at this point, but according to one of our members, Lynn Christensen, she thinks that they will. But the sign we would probably put up, honestly, I'm not even sure it's on their property. It's kind of on the edge of the road.
Yeah.
We would certainly try to get their permission.
But you can also put it on the other side where we own the right-of-way. Opposite side of the road if you need to. Same.
Oh, we know somebody.
We have a
Let you
few
do it.
things we have to, you know, a few administrative things we need to take care of with this new site. And one is, you know, some adequate signage to get people
Exactly
to the
right.
new site. So we'll be working on those details in the next couple of months.
Actually, I think it's going to work out nice, actually.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's maybe a better site. than
Go
the Shaw
across
site.
and get hot cocoa over Buckley's. Could really be
Ski-
nice.
ski wink.
Skeety wink.
We have to talk about it.
Curry and knives, right?
Next agenda, I think.
Be a nice atmosphere.
It would be.
Hopefully it doesn't snow too much, just enough.
That's an every year thought.
Yeah.
We're the only part of the country that hasn't been slammed with weather. I'm
Right.
just,
Yeah.
we're due.
What are you doing?
Boy, we can't be that lucky.
Skating on that ice there.
I know. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate
Nice problem.
Okay, New Hampshire, Lieutenant Marquis. Come on down. New Hampshire Fish and Game, OHRV, I know that, but I can't think of what it is. Anyway, grant,
Off-highway recreational vehicle.
there you go. Grant acceptance from Merrimack Public Police Department, submitted by Lieutenant Marquis. I'll let you go ahead and do the introduction.
All right. Good evening, members of the council, Madam Chair. Appreciate you having me here tonight. This is for the acceptance of our OHIV grant, which this year is $1,080. This gives us 6 details to basically get into the wooded areas, town parks, conservation areas, areas we generally can't get to basically show a presence and see people in those areas. So.
Which we've been increasing.
Yes, yeah, with the walk-alongs as well. Yep.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's worked out well. Okay, questions? Yes, Pete?
Lieutenant, where do you guys normally run the patrols? When do
Um,
these?
It's areas like Horse Hill, Greater Woods, Wasserman Park, Vets Park, 80 Acres, the trail system behind the middle school, a lot of those areas, Footer Pole area. There's a lot of different areas in town we get to. So.
Is it because, is this originates from any trouble areas, or these are just the regular patrol?
Some of them are trouble areas, complaints. I know we have a lot of complaints out in Greater Woods. It's one of the areas we try and get to, so as many as we can. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I think, yes.
Ken?
Are we planning on every weekend for, or I'm assuming weekend, I don't even know. Is there planned, or is he going to just stagger them around just to?
Staggered, but they're on the weekends, so Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon. But generally try and go 10, 11 o'clock to maybe 3 or so in the afternoon to try and get as much traffic as you can.
Should you not be saying that?
What's that?
Should you not be telling the times?
You're there from 7
all-
a.m. till 10
It's all about the
p.m.
presence.
It's the pre- yeah.
But the times do change too, so.
Wise guy.
They tell you when they're doing roadblocks and you still get caught, so.
Okay, I accept a motion,
Can I ask a
please.
quick question?
Absolutely, sorry.
Thanks. This is only 6 patrols, and you're going to go in 4-hour increments. Is
Yep.
that including your transportation time and everything to get the vehicles out there?
It
or-
does.
So you're only going to be out there for a relatively short period of time? You're not going to
Yes.
be moving from site to site, I presume? or-
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Is this more or less than we've been getting in the past, or?
I think for the last few years, that's what it's been.
Okay.
It's based on the money that the state has in activity.
Is this an annual amount, or is this for the
That's annual.
fall period, or? That's
It's annual,
So
yeah.
there'll be 6 times sometime between now
It's
and
not a lot,
this
yeah.
time next year, so.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and the commitment to report back, is it very extensive, or is that fairly lightweight work?
It's fairly lightweight. It doesn't take very long at all. It's not a lot of information they're looking for. Contacts and some is issued warnings, things like that, so.
Okay. Do we have any idea or summary from past experience, how much contact they've been making, or how
There's
many?
quite a bit of contact, not a lot of summonses and tickets, things like that, warnings. It just seems like there's a lot of contact with people out there, so I think the presence is the biggest thing. So.
Okay, thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, Council Kent, it's no more on the finance side either. We work with Lieutenant Marquis on all the grants, so it's no more reporting than they ask for any one of our other grants to report up to them.
I agree, but it's always an interesting, somewhat hidden factor that there's an extended amount of effort that has to be involved in doing the paperwork part, and just like to bring it up so that we don't forget it. Thank you.
Oh, they remind you, wouldn't they? Okay, any other questions? Okay, motion.
Madam Chair, move that the town council accept and expend a grant in the amount of $1,080 made available through the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department for the Merrimack Police Department to fund overtime patrols in the area of town not accessible to standard patrol vehicles pursuant to RSA 31-95:B and Charter Article 8-15. Furthermore, that Eileen or Paul be authorized to sign any paperwork necessary to perfect the grant.
Motion made by Bill Boyd, second by
Second.
Peter Albert. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. 600. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Okay, the next 2 items. Matt's not here, and he doesn't need to be.
No.
Oh, are you coming up for it?
Christine.
Come right ahead.
Christine is going to do the first one, I'll do the second one.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, Matt deserted me.
Donation acceptance to the Merrimack Dog Park. Town Council to consider the acceptance of a donation and installation of pavers in the entrance area of the dog park to help address an erosion issue from Home Depot. Valued, I was going to say the same thing, but I let it go. Valued, but you didn't. Valued at approximately $1,500 pursuant to RSA 31:95-E and Charter Article 8-15. And if you would introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Christine Lavoy. I work on the Parks and Rec Committee with Matt, also on the subcommittee for the dog park.
Derek Muse, 3 Vanden Road. I work on the dog park committee with Christine.
Excellent. So go right ahead.
Okay, great. So, as you know, the dog park's open and running. We were approached by Home Depot, and they inquired if there was any outstanding projects that
How nice.
we had hoped to get done. Derek being an employee of Home Depot.
I'm a district employee. I don't work at the store. I work at the store, but I don't work for the store. So I serve as kind of a liaison
Yep,
between the
okay.
store and the committee, which I'm on.
Perfect.
which he's been helping us coordinate all the efforts. But it was nice that they approached us, and they've been aware of the project going on from the start. So we advised them one of the things that we had hoped to do in the initial installation was to put pavers down to make that a little bit more firmer, being it's on a little bit of a slope. We knew eventually there was going to be erosion issues.
Yeah.
And now we're about a year old, or coming on a year old, and we know there is some erosion issues, and so that's what we're hoping to alleviate with installing the pavers, and this is one way to doing it in a cost-effective manner.
Now, they're going to actually be helping you installing it, is that correct?
Yes, thankfully.
It's not just the pavers, it's the actual helping of the installation.
That's correct, there's a
which
little
is-
bit of
Which is what the
site work.
1,500, right.
Yes.
Again, that's approximate, because you have to get a quote. You have to, depending upon the amount of pavers and all the rest. So.
Exactly, absolutely.
Questions? Yes, Bill, and then Pete?
Christine, obviously, I own dogs and maintain a kennel, and one of the things that we've been using has been crushed stone, 3/4-inch crushed stone.
Mhm.
Was there any discussion about using 3/4-inch crushed stone in that particular area as opposed to using pavers due to the fact that you have some unevenness in that particular area?
It was not really discussed, other than that being the crushed stone with the dogs running at high speeds, there might be concern of the paws, the pads being ripped up, because that will eventually be coming down into the park as the way
Okay.
it seems to be progressing, because we've had that whole year of just seeing how things are working. So the pavers seem to be a good option. A lot of them have already been donated by a resident in town, so
Okay.
they're already on site and just waiting
Fair.
installation.
Fair enough, I was just curious enough the conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
You welcome.
Pete?
Christine, I see that there's 5 to 8 volunteers from Home Depot that are going to help out with this.
Yes, sir.
I'll
It's
tell you, I think
amazing,
that's
isn't it?
fantastic.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, and I just, being on Parks and Rec and working with Christine, I know her committee, they've done a lot to, through their volunteer work and getting donations to keep the park up and running and looking good, so you guys should be commended, you're doing a lot of good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thankfully, Matt's been so supportive and helpful. It's been wonderful. As well as, I think there's going to be like 3 to 6 committee members who are going to coming and join and helping with the project, so it's exciting.
Perfect.
Anybody's welcome to join. We'll let you know when.
Nancy.
Yeah, give it to a person, give it to a person who has all that time. Excellent. We have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the town council consider the acceptance of a donation and installation of pavers in the entrance area of the dog park at Wasserman Park to help address an erosion issue from Home Depot valued at approximately $1,500 pursuant to RSA 31:95-E and Charter Article 8-15, and that furthermore, that Eileen or Paul be authorized to sign any or all paperwork necessary to accept the grant, and that furthermore, that the town send a letter of thanks to Home Depot for being tremendous corporate partners in our community for something that this community has worked hard for over the last couple of years.
Bingo.
Wonderful.
And it's, just to clarify, it's not a grant, it's a donation.
Donation.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we have considered, I think the motion said to consider the example, we have. So I think your motion should be to move.
It should be accept, I apologize.
Okay.
That's all right.
Caffeine
I don't know that
hasn't-
it's a big deal.
The caffeine hasn't kicked in, please bear with me.
Could I have a second, please?
Peter argued.
Peter did.
Peter, sorry, I didn't see you.
While you were talking.
I was otherwise occupied by talking. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 600. Terrific, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
We'll make
Thank you
sure
very
that we
much.
get back to Home Depot.
Thank you.
Okay, donation acceptance to the Merrimack Dog Park Town Council to consider, and Paul, you're going to address this, right? the acceptance and expenditure of a donation from Boy Scouts Daniel Figueroa from Troop 424 in the amount of $158.84 to the Merrimack Dog Park, which is from the surplus funds that I raised from his Eagle Scout project of building the dog park sponsorship sign, which was installed last spring. And this is pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15. So, Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Eagle Scout Figueroa for his fine work that he did on that sign. If anybody has not seen it
I
in
have
Wasserman
to go
Park,
see it.
it is really something special. He did a
Is it?
fantastic job with it. And he came in under budget, which is even better, or raised more money. So with the extra money, he wants to give it to the Parks and Rec for the dog park, so that if he needs maintenance or other things with the sign or for the dog park signs, it will be there.
Very nice. Very nice. Any other questions about this? Yes.
Are you planning to earmark these funds for the dog park sign, or are you just going to put them in the dog park fund and let it go?
We'll put it in the dog park fund.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that the town council accept and expend a donation from Boy Scout Eagle Scout Daniel Figueroa from Troop 424 in the amount of $158.84 to the Merrimack Dog Park, which is from surplus of funds that he raised from his Eagle Scout project of building the dog park sponsorship sign, which was installed last spring pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15. Furthermore, that Eileen or Paul be authorized to sign any documents necessary to accept and expend. Furthermore, that a letter be sent to Eagle Scout Figueroa congratulating him on the success of his project and his generous donation for continual support of the dog park.
Second by
Second?
Peter Albert. Got to speak up faster, Finley. I know. We'll speak up. That side of the room, it's kind of heavy over there. All those.
I think we need buzzers.
All those, or X's, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 600.
Just while Councilor Albert starts going, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, stop.
What is this?
Nobody gets that.
Oh. Oh, okay. This is a handout for the next topic. Thank you very much. Okay, Anita, I see you walked in. Come on up. Town of Merrimack Granite Signs, Heritage Commission, but submitted by Finance Director, Assistant Town Manager Paul McKelly, and Heritage Commission Chair Anita Krager. Town Council to discuss placement of granite signs, and you're probably familiar with this too, right, Finley? So go ahead and talk to us.
No, it is not. Yes, it
Now
is
it
now.
is.
Okay. On behalf of Dan Figueroa, thanks for taking his money. I just left him.
Ah,
It's our yard sale. That's where I've been. That's where I just left to come here. So anybody wants to thank us, come to our yard sale, please.
there you go.
Good luck.
The Heritage Commission, 2 years ago, voted to make welcome signs for the north and south ends of town. And it took us a while to get to this point. I found locations. I talked to the owners of the property on both places. They were fine with it. Then we found that we had to get a hold of the state to find out how far back from the central line these had to be. State didn't answer repeatedly. We decided finally go ahead and make the signs and then we'll figure it out. So we got them made and we're ready to install them. And I talked to Kyle, and Kyle finally got some information and found out that we cannot put granite signs within 30, 35 feet of the road. That's pointless. You're not going to see a welcome sign 30, 35 feet from the road. So now that they're made, we need to figure out where we are going to put them.
So they're already made.
They are
We have
already
a
made,
picture
yes.
of them.
I have been
in our
notified that they're
packet.
ready to install. And I talked to Paul, and Paul suggested that we locate them in other locations and then find a way to make wooden signs that can go within 15 feet of the center line.
And that
So-
really has to do with,
They're granite signs, and granite
so if
signs.
a car goes off the road, right?
If we had them within the town's portion of Route 3, it wouldn't be a problem, but the welcome is too far out from the middle of town.
The state wants the signs to be what they call a collapsible sign. So if a car drives into them, it actually has a breakaway bottom, and the sign collapses away from the car and not onto the car. And a granite sign, of course, is heavy.
It won't
It won't do
collapse.
that. It will come this way.
But at any rate, the signs are made, ready to install.
Two of
So
them.
I sat with Paul a week or so ago, and we looked at locations, one of them right here in front of the town hall.
Now, where, I
The
should
second one-
notice what the bush is.
That is to the left of the walkway. That is left to the walkway.
Yeah, it's to the
right
left
of the
of the
tree that
walkway.
was dedicated to Dan Air.
Yeah.
It's
Where are
on
we talking about? Up
Old
here?
Town
Right out
Hall.
here.
Old Town Hall. If you're on Babuzik Lake Road,
Yes.
look at coming up to the walkway, the brick walkway that comes up in the center.
Oh, okay.
That is to the left of the walkway. That should miss.
So the walkway is over here on the right.
This-
On the right,
yes.
yes.
Ah,
That
This is
should
the
miss
walkway here.
They put the
the
walkway
gas
in.
line.
And this is where the flagpole is,
Okay,
right here. You can see the thing in front of it.
this is the
So
side door.
it will
of
be between these two flags here. I can't call dig safe until we get an okay for where we want to put them.
Will be in front of the east wing.
Right.
And that should miss the natural gas lines and the water line.
Yep.
And that's why we,
That is the gas line over there.
Yeah.
That's where
That
the
we
gas
know of.
line
Yeah,
comes
well,
in.
that's that, yeah.
So we would like
Okay.
to put one there.
Yeah, and the
It
other
does
one?
not say welcome to
I recognize this
Merrimack.
place right away.
And the second one, well, it's a little bit on
It's
the
a
blurry
blur.
side, but it's at Watson Park.
Oh, Erica's Run sign. Ah.
It's right in front of the sign that's there now.
Where,
And
okay, so that's in the corner where the Erica sign is right
Yes.
now.
We didn't want to interfere with the other signs for Watson Park itself. And if we go any further into the park, we are into that area where there's restrictions as to how far you can dig.
Correct.
This is outside those restrictions.
So this is really near the road.
Yes.
the Erica sign sits on a board that's been
Yeah.
put up to hide where the electrical comes down off the pole and into Watson Park, the
Oh,
project
it's
we
a
did.
camouflage.
Correct.
Yes, so this would actually camouflage that piece of plywood that's there. The other thing is that when we're looking at these, they're one-sided signs.
Yes.
They're not on both sides, so that's why we could
It's
put
too
it up
bad-
against that area.
It's too bad there wasn't someplace down south.
Yeah, well, hang on, because we're going to get
Oh.
to that later.
Oh,
I'll get to that in just a moment. But these are the granite ones. They do not say welcome to Merrimack. They say
Just-
Merrimack
established.
1750, and we said 1750 instead of 1746 because we weren't an entire town until 1750.
With the four.
We only came as far as the Sauhegan River into 1746.
Okay.
In 1750, we took the northern part. They do not say welcome to, they just
No, they
say
don't.
Merrimack, and it says
You're right, they don't.
4 villages, 1 town, that's what's on the signs. Now that we are back to ground zero on our welcome signs on the 2 ends of town, our plan, and at next month's meeting, we will be looking at this, is to have wooden signs made that will have more on them, including welcome to Merrimack, but they will be wooden. We've already talked to the company, I can't remember its name now, but the ones that made the ones for Abbey Griffin Park.
Mm-hmm.
That's a company that's been approved to do things. And we're going to submit a design to them probably within the next month, and then we will be able to get an estimate on the cost, which I am assured is going to be considerably beyond what the granite signs were, and they were $1,950 each.
Considerably more than?
A lot of people have warned me to expect a shock when I submit this. They're not made of wood, actually. They're made of what is it, an acrylic type of thing?
Like a composite foam.
It's a
board.
composite thing.
And-
It
and
will
he-
last
and he
much
is-
longer than
Okay.
wood would. Which,
Right.
this is the reason we were going with the granite, is to make it indestructible.
It's too
But,
indestructible.
Yeah, but we will be having them, and they will say, "Welcome to Merrimack." and the places where we were going to put the granite signs are still marked by Kyle on the northern and southern ends of town. The southern one is directly across from the southern entrance to Harris Pond. The northern one is on the WFEA property.
FEA.
The tower, the radio tower up north. Neither one of these is really close to the Chamber of Commerce signs. We did not want them really close to one another. Ours is going to be a much more traditional sign and not as commercial as the Chamber of Commerce ones are.
Okay.
So, but both of them will be closer to the town lines than the Chamber ones are.
Yes, okay.
That's what I was looking for, is locations that we can
Yeah.
have closer to the actual boundaries.
Right.
So, I'm letting you know what we're planning to do.
Yeah,
Mark,
that's nice.
Paul assures me we have the finances to do it. That was always the
don't count
first
on
question,
that.
because
No.
it's gonna cost a lot more. But he assures me we
Yeah,
have the
what does
money to
Paul
do
know?
it. And just to alert you too, we have just ordered more of the signs, the historic signs for the
Yeah.
homes. We just ordered 17 of them 2
Nice.
days ago, and they'll be done within 2 weeks. Those had already been approved.
Excellent.
We just have taken this long getting to the homeowners to get them to say, yes, we want the signs, yes, we'll put them up, although there are still 2 that we don't have that permission for yet because they're for sale.
Ah,
So we got to wait for the new owners before we can do it, but they will go up.
you'll
I
see.
will speak with the new owners when we get them.
Pete?
Anita,
Yeah,
did you say the granite signs have already been constructed?
yes.
Oh, okay.
David Brooks made them.
Okay, did you guys end up, how did you go about deciding on Mr. Brooks?
High recommendations, and I talked to several other groups that have ordered things from him. And at one of our heritage meetings here, when our review, we told you about them, and everybody seemed to be okay, and Paul was okay with going with them, and he's local.
Okay, yeah, I was just
Always stay
curious.
local if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
He has done work in our, repairing some of our cemeteries and things of that sort, so we understood the fonts and all the stuff that we were looking for.
And 3
Sounds
other
good.
towns have heard about those signs and have asked me how to get a hold of him because they want to get them made.
Nice.
I've warned them where they're going to put them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Don't think you can put them near a state road.
right.
Okay, discussion.
Live and learn.
Thoughts?
No, I'm good, I look great. I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much to you and the Heritage.
And Dave is ready to install them as soon as he has time, but he had wanted to do it 3 weeks ago when he had some time factor. But he'll get them
So
up
now
as
we have
soon
to
as he
wait.
can, and installation is part of the cost that we've already paid. I think we've paid only half of it so far, right? He needed 50% up front, and the
Yeah.
other was when they're done.
So
and-
he'll do it soon enough because he wants his money.
Yeah, he wants them off of his property too. He
That's
wants,
right.
he wants to get them moved.
Right.
And I understand that.
Any other questions? So the site is agreed to? Do we need a motion on this? Let's do a motion.
Hopefully, they'll be up within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Can I ask a question of Paul?
Absolutely.
No.
Paul? Bill
Was
has a
there any-
question.
Has there been any coordination regarding signage in Merrimack that we have in terms of welcoming? Like Anita's talking about doing welcome signs, the Chamber of Commerce has their own sign. I mean, at what point do we become oversaturated with welcome to Merrimack
Well, it
signs?
depends on when we want to stop welcoming people.
I understand.
The Heritage Commission has taken on this project. I do not know for a fact, but I do not believe, I was not contacted about the chamber signs. And I don't know if anybody in our departments was contacted, meaning highway or DPW. I'm not aware that they were contacted.
What land are they on?
They were replaced on where they were before. The chamber had signs at that location before.
Already.
And they replaced them in the same spot.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right. So they
So they
did their
were
own
grandfathered,
thing, and then,
Because
this was a project the Heritage Commission wanted to pursue, and the
Something more
committee.
traditional.
More traditional, New England-ish kind of atmosphere when you came into a town.
Does anybody remember the sign back probably in the 70s? It said, at the north end of town, "Welcome to Merrimack," and it showed little rabbits, a tiny bunny, and they get bigger, and it said, "Growing, growing, growing," and that was our welcome sign. And I believe Bob Jerry, Arlen Jerry, former superintendent at the water department, his son, I did that sign. But,
Growing, growing.
Growing, 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 like
I
rabbits.
remember those.
You don't remember?
I do
You
remember them.
yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was pre-me, so.
Pretty-
they were cute. They got noticed.
Okay,
Like
any other
Burma shave
questions?
signs.
Okay, how about a motion? To approve not only the, basically placement of the granite signs,
Mhm.
right?
So moved.
Finley has made the motion to move this forward. Finley Rothaus, second.
Second.
Dan Dwyer, you'll do next, huh? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 600.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Point of clarification, the signs do say 1750 because that's when we became one town.
Right.
However, there are going to be people saying 1746, 1746. Our letterhead does say 1746. Town of Merrimack is in I didn't know this until Anita told me, but we actually have two town charters. So we have the one
If
that said 1746.
anybody knows anything about the town,
Right.
it will be Anita.
Anita.
She knows.
So I'm giving you the history lesson that I got to bore you guys. No. The history lesson I got. So in 1746, we got the town charter. In 1750, there was an amendment to the charter to gain 3 miles of land on this side of the Chamberlain Bridge.
And did
So
that
that's
make
why
it 4
1750.
villages as compared to 3? Did that make it 4 villages instead of 3?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
that
they
is
weren't
why.
villages in 1746.
okay.
They were just, Merrimack was Merrimack. And of course, it was centered on, geographically, the center of Merrimack at that time was where the meeting house was.
Right.
That was the geographic center of town.
For
at that point.
1746?
In 1746. Or 1771, when they built the meeting house, they built it at the geographic center of town, which had the north and the south portions all together. We were full town then.
Yeah.
But
It's, the celebration that happened in 1996 was the 250th, and it was
That's right.
1996, so the next one might have to be modified to go to 50, I guess, I don't know.
We've been going with the 46,
Yes,
46,
46
because
is the
that is when
official.
the town was officially the town of Merrimack.
Right, and this was just.
But that
And I-
northern sign saying, "Welcome to Merrimack," wouldn't have been in Merrimack then.
Right, right.
That's
No,
why-
and I knew there was the two,
Right.
only
Oh, you
because
did,
of that. Yeah, from the 250th, that's when I learned my history, and, because I didn't know it prior to that.
We could really confuse people by having the southern sign say 1746 and the northern one 1750.
And we'll test to see who notices.
Then you'd have to have.
That would be
another one in the
interesting.
north, it's just south of-
Yeah, we can have a removable one so that we can change
There
the
you go.
number whenever.
There you go.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I
You're
think we're all
welcome.
set, Anita.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this last item is really a housekeeping thing. We need to make some decisions. Just hear me out, like you always
we have a
do.
choice.
Like you always do. And then the council will have to make a decision how we want to proceed. The code needs to be reviewed. By charter, it's supposed to be every 5 years. The last time we did it was 2011, so I think we're a little bit overdue. Now, the list that you received, there are 31 chapters. What you see, which was handed out, are the ones that are active that we have to review. There are quite a few that do not need to be changed. They just need to be reviewed and approved. So there'll be a combination, yes. Us,
Us with the rule.
the council. Now, okay, again, just to be able to have the public understand, basically the code review. The code is really the base of ordinances and also describes the functioning of the various town departments. All departments have reviewed the active chapters and have made recommendations of changes, whether it be RSAs, formatting, we're trying to be consistent in format, making sure it says town council instead of selectmen, those kinds of things. And I know that Becky has done a lot of previewing as well, but again, we have another set of eyes we'll be looking at. Now, my question has to do is how do we want to attack this? There's really two choices that I see. One is we could have meetings, extra meetings, only to do the code. Just concentrate on it, like a 3.5 hour meeting to do the code. I know, painful. We're thinking it would probably be 3 or 4 meetings, okay?
3 or 4 3.5-hour meetings?
Right. Or,
Let's hear it.
or we could have an item on each town council agenda having to do with the code review. And what I would do is Becky, and probably Finley and I, unless Finley wants to volunteer to lead this.
I'll volunteer Nancy to lead.
Yeah, throw him under the bus. He'll throw me right back. Where we would make a decision, for example, the next meeting, maybe we would, well, the next meeting would have to be Chapter 158, the sewer use, because it has to be done within 3 months of the Department of whatever, the state. And we're coming up to that, so we should do that early, and that's a big one. But it's also the recently revised one. So we should do that all by itself, because one, it's very large, but two, it really shouldn't take much time because it's very technical, and it's really the wastewater treatment plant, like, am I gonna know what, right? So, Dan?
It sounds like this is a job for our Cracker Jack staff that we have.
They've done that.
Well, it's
And I
coming
would
to
think
us,
They would
but
just
we have
bring
to
it to us
review
for our
it.
approval.
That's correct.
And then it would be set to go.
That's correct.
I can't see it taking 3 hours. Our
Oh,
staff is so outstanding
Well,
that we would breeze through these
okay, but you have to
chapters.
remember that every time there's an ordinance, whether it's changed or not, and this is why I have, it has to be a first read, then it has to be a public hearing, then it has to be a final read. So every time we review, we have to go through this process. So it would have to be sort of a rolling, which is what we did last time. It's going to have to be a rolling. So, for example, we would do the sewer, and maybe one other, maybe the introduction. And then the next one we would do, and what we would do is look at it and say, really, there's no changes. So maybe we could do 4 or 5 code reviews that night, because they're pretty simple, there's really nothing, or it's just an RSA, it's a straightforward thing, and we say, okay, the next meeting will be the public hearing, that kind of rolling kind of thing.
Yeah, because trust me, we all know how we can talk. And all of a sudden, when there's one little thing you see that sets you into orbit, that's going to go on for a long time.
I promise you I won't do it. I promise you.
I mean, I think part of the thing is, well, first of all, that's our choices.
Yep.
One, it has to be done, so we either do it in a large bite,
Your second
or we
piece.
do it in pieces. Pete? And then Bill?
Nancy, so we can't, it can't be one of these situations where each counselor receives copies of the code. We then all review it, not necessarily in a meeting. We review it, and correct me if I'm not
Go ahead.
correct. And then ultimately, if we find, let's say we've all reviewed it, and we find that there's no issues with it, without having a public meeting, can we all sign off on it if there's no changes to it? It has to be,
My understanding, it has to go through all 3.
Town charter
Steps.
says every 5 years, you need to review the code.
and it has to be in this form.
It has to be in
Okay.
in the ordinance form, there's actually, in the town charter, there's actually a way that, for all these ordinances, that have to go through.
So again, I understand your point, and if that were a reality, we should be able to get through, let's say that there are 5 chapters, exactly like that, we do it in 20 minutes.
Can we do this then? It suggests, I'm just trying to think of ways of
Absolutely.
expediting. Could it be where, we're looking at one chapter, a particular chapter, we all review it, we all come to the conclusion prior to the meeting that there are no issues on this chapter, or we identify those chapters that we have no issue on, and then hold the meeting just to move those chapters through quickly? Can we do that?
Theoretically, I understand what you're saying, but how much time would we set aside to be able to know which ones are applicable for that.
I guess, yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to think, some of the ones that have stood the test of time over the other reviews.
Which is what the sewer
Yeah.
is about.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the determination that we would sit down with Becky and say, okay, what changes are here? There are none. Okay, well, that's one. And if there's like 5, there are no changes, all right, let's do all 5. Because there really is little,
Right.
there is no change, or it's minimal change.
Okay, and being the new counselor, I'm going to ask all the rookie questions, I guess, tonight, now I know that there's the topic of no swimming at Vets Park. Would that be the time then for the Parks and Rec director to submit to us, look, we need that wording put in that code?
Yes.
Or something to that
Yes.
effect? Okay.
Correct. So if there are additions, those are the kind of things that department heads should be putting in.
And I'd like to see if there's issues that have come up. I know that there's, we identified in years past issues with some codes that we found that dealt with the police department. So I'd like to hear, from all the
So
department heads
hopefully,
and.
right. So what Becky has are the changes from the department heads.
Okay.
We made sure we did that first.
All right. Thanks.
But I agree with you. I mean, let's not be naive. There will be things that we see, well, didn't we decide this? I mean, things will be missed, and there will be things we miss. But I think, just a matter, and then at the very end, we will have a completed code, and we'll take an official vote for the whole thing to be adopted. Yes, Dan?
Just a question and clarification. Finley, were you on the Charter Commission? You were, for the record. Just want to state that Finley Rosshouse was on the Charter Commission. Thank you.
So is it, I'm hearing the consensus is do it by pieces?
Absolutely. The first way was not the way to go.
But I had to open it as an option.
When's this due? When are we supposed to complete this?
We were supposed to have done it
2 years ago,
2 years ago.
or last year.
Well, it's every 5 years. The last date was 2011, so it's 2016.
Is this why Tom Mahan left?
No, he was the one who came up with it. He was the leader of the pack.
He knew it was coming up, so what, I think what we'll try to do is be able to, again, I know that 158 has to be done first. It's also the largest one, so I might as well just keep that alone, review that. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's going to be much changes, because we have to trust that the RSAs and stuff, we don't know anything to debate it. Go ahead.
Oh, right. No, I didn't. That's true. I mean, if it's an RSA, it's just a copy and paste almost. That's what you have to do. But what you really want to do is, it's good entertainment. Read through the chapters, especially the ones that have been, that are here, that have been manipulated by the departments. Because if there's something you want to do, that's
Now is
when we
the
do
time
it.
to do it.
Yeah. It's much easier than another
Right.
time.
I'm sorry, say again?
I would ask if you do 79 and 158 together, they're both dealing with wastewater treatment.
Okay.
So they're not here at 17
I
different.
know that Becky mentioned
I mean, there are some of them that are.
that there's a time issue with
Yeah.
158.
158 definitely, and actually, the sooner we can get that done, the better we can.
Right.
Um,
So we can plan on that for the next.
I mean,
We probably should, like you had suggested, plug them in, groupings
Right,
of them.
groupings.
And then,
Right.
but we should get the whole thing for our perusal all at once. But
Okay, so the town council should get, do we have digital copies of that, or how do you want to? Will she copies of code review?
we will see if we do. If we don't, we will.
Yeah,
We'll get them
right.
digitalized for you
Okay,
guys so you can read them.
so let's make sure that at least 79 and 158 are ready and distributed to the council for the next meeting. And let's
yes.
not wait, let's do that as soon as possible, to give people time to review it.
I know 158, there's one last piece that we're waiting on. So as soon as we get that, we'll definitely make sure that it goes out.
And then we should probably, if we're going to do it every meeting, just the following meeting, have the public hearing and just.
Exactly right, and roll
continue
it.
to- Yeah, roll it right
That's right.
through. Public hearings, every
That's
meeting will
right.
have a segment.
There's going to be a little bit of timing in October with the public hearing, because the way October sits in November, because we go from second
We
and
get
fourth
budget coming up.
to first and third. So
And
there
we've
might
got-
be some delay.
This is
with
why
the public
I'm-
hearing
I'm-
on one of them.
We gotta get it done,
No,
majority of
October,
it done
November.
before the budget.
How difficult is it for everybody to get a copy of the code and go through it? And just develop some type of consensus as to what chapters don't need to be updating? And that way just,
I don't think, I think things are going to, it has to be done in a sequential manner, however we do it. I'm not gonna be able, I would not feel comfortable receiving a code book review and say, okay, let's just all read it. I think we all have to be on the same page at the same time in a sequential manner so that we can stay focused and limited. We can't be talking about a code 140 and then code 5.
I'm not.
It should be all related,
What-
like,
what I'm
like
saying
you
is-
said,
is-
Paul.
is-
The sewerage, it should all be there. If there's something about the police department, anything that has to do with the police department should be done together. Those kinds of decisions. How do you arrange them?
Well, what I'm saying is that if everybody is provided a copy of the code and they read the entire code from page 1 to page whatever, and then as chair, you go through chapter 1, does anybody have any objections? No. You put that on the consent list. Chapter 11, does that have anybody?
It has to go through the 3 steps.
I understand that, but you can identify things that everybody's in agreement with and put them through the 3-step process so that you're killing those particular birds at the same time. And then revisiting the questions that councils may have can be brought up at a later point in time. So in other words, get rid of the stuff that we don't have any issues with and only focus on.
Who makes, okay. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. Your question.
I
who
guess
makes
to
it-
me, it's
it-
overwhelming. I don't think it's streamlined enough. The only way we're gonna get through this quickly as possible is to say streamlined and focused and everyone's on the same page and we roll at the same rate. That's all.
How about, we've identified 2 chapters.
You need to.
How about, we've identified 2 chapters that we know we want to take on
Initially, yeah.
and get those done right away. But then from here on out, why don't we just take a chapter or a section of each chapter, or however you want to do it, for each meeting, with time permitting, depending on the workload of each meeting, and then for as long as, like we said, we have no deadline on this, but we just want it, it's overdue to get done. So let's take, let's manage it 1 chapter a meeting per se.
See, I plan on going like sometimes 5 or 6 chapters. Depending upon what those chapters are, we might be able to knock out 5.
Okay.
Because I would be able to look and talk with Becky and say, what are the changes in these 5? Oh, there are none. All right, let's do all 5. Versus there were a lot of changes in this one and this one. Okay, let's do those 2 and let's add a couple that aren't going to. So my intention would be to try to gauge it so that there would be equal amount of consideration time during each meeting. And sometimes there might be 7 chapters we can go through. Other times, like the next meeting's only 2, because of the length and the size of these 2. Go ahead.
Right, and I think as soon as we can get, with the modifications that have been suggested by the department managers and departments, once we can get that, it would be beneficial, so we can read them all at our
We could maybe
convenience.
set up a,
And you set it up when you'll know what's going to be a heavy hitter and what's going to be pretty light, so.
so
you would
maybe
set-
we could do a projection based on all of them. Would that address what you're talking about? For example, let's say we sat down with Becky and a cursory review, get that sort of stuff done, and say, okay, let's look at the first 5. Oh yeah, there's no changes. Okay, why don't we do that? And we can do a timeline and present that projected timeline so that the council knows exactly what's coming up so they can read ahead if they want. Would that address?
Okay.
I think I guess my concern is if you leave it open too much, you're losing the focus. We're much more effective when we can focus and streamline. Just as an experienced person with this group, herding cats.
And don't forget, January's budget season, so you want
And
to try
that's why I
to
wanna
wrap this
jump
up
on it.
before January, because January you got all those
And I
meetings.
think, I
and
think
work.
there'll be communication, for example, let's not next meeting, but the meeting after would be the public hearing for the stormwater stuff. right? Because we will have done the work the September meeting. The next meeting would be the public hearing on that work that we've done, but we'd also be working on new. There would be communication to the council of, okay, we're doing chapters 1, 11, 19, 27, 34, and summarize it. These are the changes. You're all going to get copies of that. Here are the changes that have been projected, whatever. To try to be able to, again, just for clarity and for focus.
Yep, I'm good.
But nobody wants to do that.
No.
We did laugh about that. Well, Becky and I were talking. She said, oh, yeah, the group will want to do that, sure. I said, well, I have to leave it. I at least have to present it as an option.
No, you didn't.
Well, I knew what the answer was going to be, but, okay, so we can always modify as time goes on. If we're finding it's not effective, then.
So Nancy, so I understand.
Yep.
In my simple mind here. We're going to do wastewater 79 and 180, 158.
During the next meeting.
The 28th of
Correct.
September. On the 28th of September, we're going to have a list available to show which chapters have
Grouped
changes.
together.
Which
Oh.
ones have changes and which ones do not have changes, and then you'll group them together the way you want to present them?
I'm not sure how far we're going to be able to get by that point, but my intention would be to do that as much as possible.
Okay. If we
And
know
it
what
might
we
not
need to
be the
work
whole
on.
thing, but at least
Right.
as far ahead as we can get.
Right. If we know what to work on and to say changes, yes, no, and then
Yes.
at least
Yes.
the council will know that, all right, these are the ones that need to be changed.
Right.
We can do 6 this week, or,
Correct.
so we'll start looking into that and working on that to get
Now,
that ready.
this is just this is what we did last time we reviewed.
How we're doing it,
This
how we
is how
decided
we
to do
did
it.
it.
Yes.
So Becky was involved with that then too, so she was talking about, oh yeah, this is how we did it before, because I was talking to her about the idea, and she said she would be able to, and that's what this first read, public hearing, and final read was about, because I wanted to use this as a template to project, to try to group it, so we keep track of when's the first read, when's the public.
I think the last chapter we did before they approved it was the welfare chapter. And once welfare
Sounds
came in-
familiar. I think you're
Once
right.
welfare was done, then there was a final approve after that.
Right. And you'll notice that there are a lot of numbers between, just to help, which you may not know. There used to be a chapter 2 through 10, but they were superseded by other things, like an RSA came up, which took care of that, so it sort of neutered it. So it's or the charter superseded it, or something like that. So all the chapter numbers that are not reflected here in between are those chapters that have been basically made moot.
Paul, just regarding the changes recommended by the staff, we'd get those in prior to the meeting to read through it, some ample time, like a few days
Hopefully-
prior to the meeting. So we-
Oh, hopefully as soon as possible.
What we'll try to do is see what we have in electronic format on this stuff and go through it and get it ready for each counselor, so they'll have an
We
electronic
need more
format of
time.
it. So if they need more time to read through it.
I would like it to have it to you prior to when you get the agenda. You know, because I know it's like, we have 2 meetings a month now, and I don't want to wait until like the Friday before the meeting.
Exactly.
If we get it Tuesday, if we could have it Monday morning, you'll get it Monday morning. That would be my intention, especially if there are no changes.
And there'll be strike-through. If there is a change,
Yeah.
there'll be strike-through, and
Will
the
be
new language
evident.
will be in bold, so it'll be evident as you read it. It's not going to be, did that word change, did this word change, what are they really changing? It'll be, hopefully, the way we make a change to any
Yeah.
ordinance is that the department head summarizes the ordinance changes in a cover sheet, and then the specific language behind it is written out, and it's struck through as if we're changing something, or if we're adding something, it's bold. So once the format, it's easier to read the format that way. So we'll just go through and look at it, and we'll get rolling.
We'll
and
try
see
to
what's
group
up.
things together.
Yes.
Do we usually have department heads here when we do
Yeah,
it?
actually, the department heads are the ones who present, because they're the ones making the
Okay.
changes and they know
So it won't
why.
be done sequentially, it would be done by grouping.
You know, they understand if there's a change in there, why they made the change. It could just be as simple as, it was an RSA, or this is what we found.
Okay, so that will be one of the criteria, now they're grouped. It won't be sequential.
I saw there's like 4 things for the town clerk tax collector. I hope that if we're gonna do those, we could do
All
all 4
together,
at once.
that's
so
right.
The town clerk tax collector doesn't have to come
Exactly
here
right.
at, you know,
Exactly right.
different times. She
Okay,
can be here.
perfect. Okay, so we'll work on that and try to set up a timeline. Okay. Okay, so we don't need to vote on that. Okay, let's go to minutes of August 17th.
Madam Chair, move the Thursday, August 17th, 2017 Town Council meeting minutes as presented.
Motion made by Bill Boyd, seconded by Peter Albert. Any changes? Tom?
Just a very small one on page 6, line 10. Towards the end of it, it says the department will announce them as soon the information is provided. It should be as soon as the information is provided. Insert the word as after soon.
Okay.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Any other changes? Hearing none. Motion to accept the minutes with revisions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. 6-0-0. Okay, comments from the press. Oh, not tonight. Comments from the public? None. Comments from the council? Bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am pleased to announce that the National Regional Planning Commission has accepted an offer, extended an offer. It was accepted. And the new executive director of the National Regional Planning Commission is Jamin Carr.
Now, wasn't he?
He was the community development director here.
Community development. Where did he go to from here?
Went to Springfield. So
He
his
went to
narrative.
several places. but
He's
he
been
ended in
several places, so he went from
Okay.
Merrimack down to Nashua, up to
Nashua,
Manchester.
that's right.
He was in Manchester for, I don't even think, 2 years. He got the opportunity to do a private not-for-profit economic development corporation called Build Springfield, I think it was, down in Springfield, Mass.
Okay.
Kept his condo in Nashua and was living in an apartment down in Springfield, and from the reports that were communicated to me from the interview committee, did some really good work in Springfield, and just saw the opportunity to come back home and jumped at the opportunity.
He was good.
So
Economic, yeah.
it is a tremendous win for the region, but I also think it's a huge win for Merrimack with some of the transportation projects that we seek. I've already talked to Tim Thompson. He's very excited to hear that Jay's coming on board, and he's nothing less than the consummate professional. So I think with how this region is growing, we've got a very good individual. And my concern was about continuity and bringing in somebody that not only understood our community, but understood the Nashua region in general. I think there's nobody better than Jamin Carr.
Nice.
Nobody better.
Nice.
He gets it. And so he will be starting on October 10th. He will be brought to the commission next Wednesday for approval. Pending commission approval, like I said, he'll start October 10th. That's exciting. So.
Excellent.
And then the second piece, I want to thank the Merrimack Fire Department for that wonderful display on September 11th.
yeah.
The big flag, the hook and ladder. Tremendous amount of community spirit and pride that they showed on that particular day. It's a very, obviously for everybody, everybody has their own story about that particular day, and it's very poignant and it's very personal, but I was very touched that the fire department continues to do that particular gesture every year as a solemn but significant remembrance of,
Yeah,
of
and
day.
that, what do they call it? With the fire department, they do the reenactment of the steps in Manchester.
In
Too
Manchester.
bad we didn't know about that. You don't hear about that since it's done.
The stair climb, yeah.
The same number of steps that were in the towers.
Yep, and we do have several members of our fire department that
Right.
participate in that
So
step
in the
climb.
future, let's try to remember to at least get notified on that, and we can make decisions. But maybe they can let us know.
Otherwise, that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Pete, do you have something?
I just wanted to say a great, they attended and played in the Crime Line Golf Tournament yesterday. And
Are
it's
you going
run,
to tell us your score? No.
if you want to go up to triple digits, but, but it's a great time. And the folks there, all the volunteers and at Crime Line, and they, it's been my experience that they've been a great source of support to the police department too. So big thank you to them, and good job, by Community Service Officer Rob Kelleher too. He helped organize it.
Nice.
Excellent.
Anything?
No.
Anyone else? Dan? And then Todd.
This is on a kind of a serious note to put on a future agenda item. I've spoken to Paul about it. I've spoken to a couple members here, but I wanted to make it official. Everyone is aware of what I'd like to present an agenda item very soon, and it concerns the traffic lights at Exit 11. The evening traffic, it's not a pet peeve, but it's just insanity. And then why I say it's insanity is Concord government has control of those lights. They're in our town, they're in one of the major intersections of town, and we are not allowed to synchronize those lights in any way. This has got to stop. Several people from our town, our staff has tried in vain to get Concord on board to say, this is crazy, we should be able to be synchronizing these lights ourselves. I come home from Nashua, and it takes me 45 minutes to go from exit 7 to pull in my driveway, and it's just nuts. And there's one thing that bugs me more in life is just the uncommon sense that we have as individuals, and we need to pursue. I don't make idle threats, because most of the time, my experience as I've been here, Concord will not act unless you actually threat with a lawyer's letterhead telling them that you're going to bring a suit, and you get it in the newspaper, and you get real reaction when you start saying enough's enough. But our staff has tried several times over the years. But when you go off exit 11, you take a left to head towards Burger King, you can count the cars. There's only 8 cars from the Burger King light to the next light. And we like to brag about having 5,000 employees at Fidelity, and we like to brag about Marquette having 2,000 to 3,000 people. Well, where do you think they're all leaving? And they
Why
go
don't
from.
they go exit 10?
They do. They do both.
A lot of them do.
So, but you've got thousands of cars all leaving between the hours of 4 and 6, and it's mind-boggling that it has to come to this, because they will not cooperate. I want on the record show, Concord will not cooperate until you force them somehow.
Has the town council ever officially tried to do anything, Paul?
Not that I know of. But the new hotel's going up, as all you all know, how we've talked about this before. They want to plant another 5 apartment buildings in the same area, and God help us, because it comes to crazy in this part. Like I said, 8 cars. I counted it again today. So there's 8 cars backed up at that.
It's that light that comes out and he takes a left.
That's right.
And that stops that whole flow.
And then from the liquor store.
You better not have it left there, but you have to be able to get access.
I've sat in the parking lot and just watched it so I can come here and talk intelligently. I've actually sat in the parking lot at Shaw's for half an hour, just kind of watching it, and you'll see the people coming into Shaw's, going around the liquor store, just to go around.
Right.
And you
Or
see,
they go into Burger King.
or going to the Burger King. And if you're coming from Continental Boulevard, from Fidelity, and you're coming down towards the Gulf Station and Burger King, you could wait there for 3 or 4 cycles before you can make a left turn to get to Turkey Hill Road.
You also see them going down Camp Sargent Road before, right down there at that entrance.
Right.
So they go down and get the light.
That's right.
Or get on there, if they're going south, getting on the highway. that
Exactly
way.
right. So,
'cause there's a lot-
until you have the power to
significant increase.
synchronize the lights in a better way, nothing will improve, and it just gets worse and worse, and people, eventually, if you want to have people coming into town, this is not a good way to show off your town by having this as one, and it is the major intersection
That's right.
for our community.
That's correct.
And something's got to be done. So I'll put it on the agenda, ask for your support to see at what point do we ask if we can ask our town manager to formalize something within Concord. But I predict we'll be contacting our town attorney and making a legal challenge to them, because I don't think they'll do it voluntarily. They haven't been able, they will not cooperate so far.
Right.
So I'm just guessing ahead of time.
Or to even work with us to change it.
Exactly. They don't care. And they've made it perfectly clear, for the record, they do not care.
Councilor Koenig and I have been on the planning board. Whenever projects have come up, we've always tried to resolve the synchronization at that light at Executive Drive.
It's a turf war. It's their lights and
And you know what, Dan, save yourself the agenda item. I'm with you, but I think we need to go to court over this. I really am.
Well, I think you need to get data
need an
together
agenda.
first.
Well, I'm just,
And I'm willing
I'm
to
on
have,
board.
if we
In
have a
order to be
consensus
able
to
to justify it.
instruct our town manager to make a formal written letter to the right people, wait for the response, and then after that, we go to the next step. If this is how the rest of us want to tackle
Gotcha.
this issue. But I want to give you a fair amount of warning that I'd like to bring this up as soon as
In the
we can.
future. Excellent.
Thanks.
And I guess I'm kind of curious with the new apartment buildings that are proposed there, and maybe Tom or Bill, one of you can help me out on it, just, is anything, any approval going to be pending from the impact on that, on the lights in the intersection at all?
Has it even been presented?
They haven't presented it yet, so I can't
At
talk a
all.
lot about it, but we always ask about and look into traffic studies and things of that nature. Quite often, they come back saying that it's only a problem for a very short period of time or something like that, but we do everything we can to alleviate those issues. The planning board has gone to the state multiple times trying to get some relief in that area that Dan's talking about, with absolutely no success. So I fully understand what Dan's talking about, and it needs to be worked out. I do, since I'm talking, want to suggest that we be careful that it's not Concord, the city, that's controlling it. It's the state of New Hampshire that's controlling
Right.
those lights.
Thank you.
Yep. And Tom, did you have something?
No, that's what I
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess we're all set. I intend a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Motion made by Bill Boyd, second by Peter Albert.
Don't all
Way to
jump at
finish.
once.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 6-0-0. Good night, everyone.